guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Survival Russia. We are out walking the woods today. We are out walking without any real purpose. That is a good way to be in the forest. It's actually an awesome way to be in the forest. And we are here at the camp. I just made a pit stop here. And as should be no surprise to you guys by now is that today we're going to take a look at the Fallkniven F1XB. XB meaning that it is coated with tungsten carbide. Should be the hardest coating on the planet, according to Fallkniven, and the knife itself should be the strongest in its class. I wanted for a long time to make a comparison or to find out if a higher end knife really is that much better than could say mid-range knife like the Mora Kansball here, which is one of my favorite knives. I mean, knives different knives serve different purposes, but this is a really good all-round knife for the woods. It's not beefy or anything, but I like it. And I especially like the multi-mount here. I also like the sheath on this little guy here, because sheaths, the knife sheaths, they are very often neglected in many reviews. And when you are a pro user like me, not meaning that I'm not getting paid for using my knives, but I carry my knives every single day. I use them every single day for all sorts of different stuff, whether I'm at the homestead or whether I'm here in the woods. So I think it's fair enough for me to call myself a pro user, because I use my knives a lot. So trying out a higher end knife, I decided to get the Fallkniven F1XB. Because I like Fallkniven and I like Swedish knives, and I like Swedish people. I like Finnish people as well. But I got the inspiration to buy the Fallkniven here from the Dutch Bushcraft Knives channel. The Dutch Bushcraft girls. Martin and Mickey. No, Boris and Mickey I think they're called actually. Boris and Mickey. I will link to one of their videos up here and down there, where they are testing and beating the crap out of this knife here. If there is a knife worth buying and carrying, then chances are that you can find it on the Dutch Bushcraft Knives channel, and they test their knives to the absolute max, you can say. They test them way beyond what a knife should be used for, but I think they do some pretty good tests actually. They might seem to some of you guys a little bit unserious and so on, because there's a lot of humor and they make really funny videos and so on the channel. But the content, the what you can say, essence of what they're doing is actually pretty good. So check out the Dutch Bushcraft girls. I bought the knife. This knife here is not really budget, you can say. It's $250 or something like that, if I remember correctly. So thank you very much to the Patreons, the PayPal guys, and the guys who buy merchandise. Links in the description to all of that. The basic F1 model is the survival knife of the Swedish Air Force, as far as I remember. The sheath is glass fiber, reinforced plastic. I think they call it sidetail or something. You can see we have a webbing strap here, or webbing loop here. We have some webbing loop here. Means we can mount it on webbing, backpacks, upside down, or whatever we prefer. But one of the funkier and really awesome things about this sheath is that we have this lock here. We have to flip up. Because if we don't flip it up, you'll not get it out. And that means that this knife here sits very, very securely in its sheath. So we flip it up, we pull it out. Wait, no, we don't pull it out, because this is almost impossible. What we have to do is, you see, the knife can wiggle, so we will wiggle it a little bit forwards and then we can pull it out. That means that if we are using the knife a lot, like I did here around camp when I was building the shelter, for example, or when I'm at the homestead. I'm building a house at the moment, right? That's why I've been a little bit quiet on the channel. I'm making the foundation, by the way. But this feature means that you can just unlock it, put it back in the sheath, and very little chances that it just will fall out. And it's not difficult to get in and out of the sheath at all. While it's on the belt, I'll show you at some point in time. But that is a really, really awesome feature. Blade is like 10 centimeters, 4 inches. It's not a big knife, which I like. I don't like really large knives. So while we're here, I would like to give a shout out to a Russian channel that I think many of you guys will find interesting. Yeah, the channel is in Russian language, but what he's mostly doing, he is just testing out firearms. Most of the firearms he's testing is what I've written to many of you guys, the traumatic guns that we have in Russia, which means it's a pistol. You can get them 6-hour P2626 and Makarov and whatnot, but they fire only rubber bullets. And many of you guys had some, you can say, yeah, but rubber bullets, what is that? Does it work and so on? But I'll link to a few videos. I will link to one video up here most likely, and maybe a few videos in the description where you can check out what the rubber bullets they actually do. They are pretty tough. We cannot carry handguns here in Russia for self-defense, but we can carry these rubber firing bullets, which are called traumatic guns, trauma guns. They're pretty tough. So go out, check the channel. The channel is called Khaki, and Khaki, that is in Russian this color here. So here we have the cold steel Srk in Senmai 3. It's a stainless steel. I much prefer stainless steels. This is what I will consider the largest type of knife, which is still usable. I mean, if they're too large, I don't like them for being in the woods anyway. Here you have the little F1XB. It's also stainless, and it has this tungsten carbide coating, right? So there's a little comparison for you guys. This is about 6 inches, I think. This is about 4 inches. These two knives here, they're about the same thickness, 5 millimeters. And excuse me, the loggers out there. And then we have the Morakanspol, which is considerably thinner, half as thick, I think, but still an awesome knife. The F1 here is made of one big chunk of COS stainless steel. It's also laminate, as the Senmai 3-layer laminate, and the edge here, the bevel, the knife is convex grind out of the box. It means that these sides here, they are not straight, they're not flat ground, they are a little bit curved. It's really great for splitting kindling if need be. You can see it makes a good long pre-split. That means that that it's able to split out this a lot easier than especially flat grind. Better watch out! I don't poke my eye out here. You can see a long pre-split. It's because the knife is a little bit beefy, of course. Another very long split. You can see, for comparison, the Kanspol is nowhere near making what I would say call a pre-split. So it's much tougher with the Morakanspol. But we can of course always twist the knife a little bit and continue. If batoning is a thing for you, it's not really for me, but then you can of course baton with this guy. Dutch pushcraft knives there, they have proven that, but I don't see any point in this whole batoning thing. Most times when you see people batoning stuff, they're batoning stuff like this. And what does that mean? That means that they also had a saw with them, right? Because you don't find stuff like this in the woods. That's something you have to produce. If you can break a log this thick, that means so rotten that you cannot even burn it. So yeah, if you have a saw with you, batoning is not needed. I kind of shown that many a time. The really awesome thing about this whole knife setup here, as I said, is the sheath. Super awesome sheath. Very, very useful. And we have these 3 loops here. We just get this out of the way. For webbing straps, that means that I can run my 1-inch webbing strap meaning that I could make it as a cross-draw setup, which I most likely will at some point, because this setup here is very, very useful as well, especially in the winter. And the good thing about the sheaths here is that you can buy them separately, so if it breaks or something, which I doubt that it will, but stuff happens, right? Then, yeah, we can get a new sheath without buying the whole knife. That's pretty awesome. So let's take a look at how the sheath here works, because as I said, now it's locked and it will not get out of the sheath. Super awesome feature. We flip the little lock up here and it will still not come out, but what I do is like I sort of like just twist it like this and I pull it out. No problem at all. It's a very, very awesome system, you can say, because it will not fall out, but you can easily get it out if you know how to get it out. So we changed position a little bit. Not too warm today. But I finally got myself together and got a thermos. So a little cup of tea would not be too bad. And then a fast conclusion on the little Fallkniven F1 XB. This is awesome tea. It's Ivan chai and mint. Ivan chai is a fermented tea which Mrs. Russia is actually still working on making her video on how to make this Ivan chai. Awesome. There, let's see, can we get the knife out of the sheath? Whoops. So the locking mechanism in the sheath there is not a problem as long as we learn how to manipulate the knife out of the sheath correctly. Then it's just like any other knife basically. Well, the sheath here is one of the things that one of the reasons I really, really like this knife. Is there a big difference between this so-called Super Steel COS and like any other knife? You cannot really compare the Morocans, but it's a Scandi grind and blah 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 blah. But anyway, I haven't found this knife here to be easier or harder to sharpen. As example, I'm just using Waterstones 1500 and then 4000, and it's pretty darn sharp. Well, yeah, I really came to like this little guy here. Even it's a little bit thicker than I normally like a knife, but it's a nice little beefy knife, you can say. Very sturdy. I've been harvesting birch bark with this guy here and so on, and yeah, it can of course do all the other stuff that knives can do, right? And I understand why the Swedish Air Force have been using this basic model anyway as a survival knife, because in my opinion, survival knives do not have to be big, large and huge and all that funky stuff. This is a good woodsman's knife, really awesome, and it has some really, really awesome features for survival as well. So I will not hesitate to say, yeah, I can highly recommend this knife. The only thing I can say is like, yeah, it has scales instead of a molded handle. It means that this part here will of course be very cold in cold weather if using the knife without gloves and so on. But yeah, but I said, yeah, I'm building a house, as some of you guys know. House with 12 corners, gonna be pretty interesting. I'm working on the foundation, and possibly the next video is gonna be about the foundation. And this is why the channel is a little bit quiet at the moment, because I simply have to get that done before the real frost starts. We already had -9 at night and blah 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 blah. So guys, yeah, until the next video, please check the links in the description. Please consider supporting the channel and all that good stuff. And until next time, get out and train, get it done, do something awesome. See you in the next video, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Nice to be out on a quiet day in the woods. Quiet autumn day. Super awesome. See you guys.